Hello folks, it's me, Kerbanaut here. Welcome to another episode of Let's Actually Play Kerbal Space Program. This episode is episode 13! Lovely, I'm sure this episode will be extremely lucky, and we'll have lots of, non-exploding things. Anyway, right, so first thing, among the many things that we have to do this episode is land Leo, because you'll remember from last episode we had Leo up servicing the Neptune spacecraft that we're going to be sending off. So that was just sending up some stuff to there, and of course we have to bring it back. We can't just leave it there. We can't leave what are these two guys called, Helgen and something else? I can't read this from here, but yeah, we have to bring that back. So we land that nicely down at KSP, and then we hop over to Neptune, which is going to be making its departure burn, and my goodness, it is a long departure burn. It is a very, very long departure burn, and I'm not going to show all of it because that would take the length of the video just for the burn. Obviously, we're going to cut ahead. So here we see, just making some corrections, we've chosen an asteroid. You can see over there that I just panned around, we saw an encounter. That encounter is with an asteroid named, I believe it's ILL-something something. It's an ill asteroid, which I thought was quite funny. Next up, we have, we're going to hop over to the Moho probe, and we're making a correction, of course, correction. So we're coming over the north of Moho, or, the pole of Moho. And that's just going to get us nice and close. We're going to make our braking burn there, and we're going to land, hopefully. And then we're going to have to hop over to Chroma 1, because we have to make some further course corrections with Chroma 1, so that it gets its encounter with Eve. And then hopefully we're going to do an aero brake around Eve. We've got more than enough fuel for all this, so this is us finishing up our burn here. You can see we're coming in for this encounter with Eve. We have to make a big plane change, that's why it's costing. This is a lot of our Delta V we're spending here. So this is where a lot of our budget is going. And you can see we're coming in close to Eve, so we just bring our periaps down. Now focus the view on the planet. That's something I wouldn't say learned recently, but it's something I've kind of been using more recently. I've never really used this a lot, and I've found it actually does help quite a bit, because you're far away, the smaller corrections, the further away you are, the more efficient you are, as opposed to making big corrections close to your target. So you can see we make our corrections, we get in nice and close to Eve. Now, we are going to be launching up something new-ish, kind of. Yeah, so this is a dual probe. We have a dual transfer window coming up. You see 5 hours, 20 minutes. That's our dual transfer window. And we're not just going to let that go to waste. I believe I have sent out a dual probe before, I think, but I'm not sure. But we are sending out this one. This is going to be going to Joule itself, and it's going to be exploring its atmosphere and gathering science and transmitting it back. And we can figure out some more stuff about Joule, which is going to be really interesting. So we've got a couple of scientific experiments on here, some lovely goo containers, other stuff like that. And it's departing like straight away. We're using the upper stage of the Socrates 1 to push it up into a high Kerbin orbit, or to push the apoapses up, and then we detach the Socrates 1 upper stage, and then we use the rest of the fuel on the actual transfer unit itself to get all the way to Joule. So that way we still have the Socrates 1 thing, which is able to be brought back to Kerbin, which we're going to be doing right now. You can see we did pump it up into kind of just a higher orbit before that stage ran out, so that we are using as much of the fuel as possible, and then we bring it down. You can see we did leave some fuel in it. We're not going to waste all that fuel, but yeah, so bring it down, and we lose a couple of landing legs, so I decided not to engage the landing legs and see if we can bring this down. And with the help of some RCS and our lovely 2 parachutes there, we actually don't fall to bits, which I think is really an impressive feat, considering the last couple of times we've tried landing the upper stage of the Socrates lifter in the water. It's just been torn to shreds. Anyway, we have to hop over back to the Moho probe, which is now time to brake and get into an orbit around Moho and deliver its payload, which is the lander. And you can see here we're just breaking in. It was quite tight. It really was Delta V was tight on this one, let me tell you. The fact that Moho doesn't have an atmosphere, is just, that's a major pain. But anyway, we bring it in, and we bring down the lander. I know you do remember we smashed off a couple of these solar panels by accident, of course, when we were refueling it in Kerbin orbit, so we've only got the one large solar panel here, so it does look a bit silly. I was also a bit worried that this small engine wouldn't be able to actually lift or, you know, slow the descent of this probe. Thankfully though, it's more than powerful enough, and we actually have more than enough fuel to do it as well, which is amazing. So we bring it down, and you know, I'm excited. Here we go, we're touching down. Lovely, and we have touched down. We have our first ever celestial body. Well, you know what I mean. The first planet has been, I want to say colonized, but it's not really colonized. We've just landed something on it. It's the first thing we've actually landed on, if I remember correct. Oh no, we had Duna. We landed on Duna. Okay, this is the first thing to ever land on Moho, then, at least. And once we've done our science, we launch it back up into the air and see if we can get back to orbit, you know, just for the lulls. But no, we can't, which was a shame. So, you know, we smash into the ground. Anyway, with the wee bit of science that we got from there, we can unlock the probes. I was going to save this science just for later, but I figured, you know, what the heck, just unlock the probes, you know. It's one more node. So we, do that, and we hop over to Celia Station, which is in orbit around Minimus. Now, we have gathered a lot of science from Minimus and the Moon, and that you could complete the tech tree alone, with Minimus and Moon science alone. You don't need to go to the other planets. You could very well just complete the tech tree with these two celestial bodies. However, that's, you know, not interesting. It's very boring just sticking around in the Kerbin system. It's just like, I don't want to go out into the big wide world. But we have to admit that there is science here, and we haven't got it all. So what we decide to do is we land on Minimus again. This is in one of the flats. I believe this is the Great Flats. There we go, yeah, the Great Flats. So Lenmil and I believe what's Haldas? I think it's Haldas. Are exploring Minimus and gathering data and whatnot from its lovely surface. So yeah, we land, we get the science, and then we bring it back up to orbit to transfer the science back to, well, here back to Celia Station. And yeah, it's going to get put into this shuttle, the science shuttle, up the top there. We then undock after clearing all the scientific experiments, you know, getting all that stuff done. We undock because we're not going to hang around at Celia Station. It's not that exciting. There's like 3 Kerbals there, and they're all just like, yeah. How you doing? We're just sitting here. They've really been sitting there for a long, long time. I kind of feel sorry for them. I've left them there for, I don't know, a few months anyway. And it's just nuts. Anyway, we're going a bit south here. We're changing our inclination. So I decided, what the heck, I'll just send it into a spin of doom and see what happens. And sure enough, it goes into a spinning spin of doom, and then it unloads, and of course when it unloads, physics unloads, which means it stops spinning, which is a bit of a shame, but oh well, such is life. We then land again on Minimus. Now this is quite repetitive, really. This is the Highlands we're landing on, as you saw from that lovely science experiment that gained us absolutely no science. But we do take some data from the experiments and do some more science, you know, get some, generally suck as much as we can, or even the small science, you know, the stuff that is just going to give us like 10 science points or something like that. Just, you know, take what we can. What we then do is we go a bit further. Oh, no, I can't remember. Is this south or is this north? I cannot remember. For the life of me. I think this is north. I think this is, this could very possibly be the North Pole. Yeah, this is the North Pole. So we've landed, we do a bit of science, we plop it back in, And then we decide we're going to head over to the North Pole and see what the North Pole holds in store for us. You know, just might as well plant a flag there, mark an occasion. We're here, we might as well do it. So Lenmil gets out, the intrepid explorer that he is, and he heads over to the North Pole. But what is this? He sees in the distance a little glimpse of something. Perhaps it is a crack in the fabric of space-time. And what is this magic? Well, he explores it, looks around, and decides to go in for a closer inspection. Perhaps he will find out some magical mystical science, and I will hand over to previous me to explain that. The fabric of space-time seems to be torn here. Mission Control says I can't jump in, but I'm going to anyway. For science. Let's do this. Lenmal. Let's see what happens. Ah. Oh no, I've killed him. Or maybe I've not killed him. Maybe, because it's the fabric of space-time, maybe. Maybe, just maybe. He's been teleported to another dimension, and that poof was not him getting killed, but was just gases that were released when the portal to the other dimension opened. Ooh. I'm waving my fingers. You can't see my fingers, but I'm waving them wildly to make it seem more mystical. But yeah, well, Lenmil is the first person ever to go trans-dimensional up in this house, up in this moon. Oh well, he planted the flag, and yeah. I can still read the black, look at that. The fabric of space-time seems to be done here. Mission Control says I can't jump in, but I'm going to anyway for science. And science was indeed achieved. We now know not to jump in, for sure, as opposed to just don't. That's fine though. Haldaz can mourn the passing of his great friend and return back to orbit. It's quite funny. Now with Haldaz boarding Celia Station, he's gonna have to break the news to Sidming, that well, the other bloke kicked the bucket, or went interdimensional. That's what happened. Totally didn't kick the bucket. And with that, we have to go back to business, mourning the not passing of the transfer to interdimensional planes of our fellow pilot, and so Haldaz has to continue his mission alone and land across Minimus, being reminded from this monstrous place of where his friend was taken from him and thrown into the abyss of multi-dimensional planes. I don't know what I'm talking about, really. I'm just making words up now. But yeah, so he has to land, and although he has lost his friend, he does have to complete the mission. You know, he would have wanted it. But yeah, so you can see here we're landing on a whole bunch of different places, just sucking every single last bit of science out of this moon. Really, we're trying to get as much as we can. That is the short kind of answer to everything. Get as much science as possible. And of course we dock on to Celia Station. I was going to call it Sphery Station there for a second, but it's not Sphery Station. It's Celia Station. And then we have to go about and do some more stuff. So we have got all of this science. And this lander here isn't doing anything. It's just slowing the frame rate down. So before we go back to Kerbin with the shuttle, we chuck it. We chuck the lander. And of course we transfer back to Kerbin and run out of electricity, meaning that the shuttle is left to fling about in its air brake situation before finally hitting sunlight, which is, saves it from complete destruction. I'm thinking of replacing this. We're not going to replace it this episode, but maybe in a later episode, maybe next episode. You should stick around. Might see the new design for the LKO to LMO shuttle. Dun dun dun. But yeah, so we go about the docking procedure and miss a little bit, but then come back. If at first you don't succeed, give up, really. But no, not in this case. We decide to try again, as the saying goes, and succeed, which is brilliant. So we've transferred the science. We transferred Jebediah Kerman, who we found. Last episode I lost him. I couldn't find him anywhere. We found him. He was actually hiding out at Celia Station, just hanging about in the science container thing. And we've got him. We've stuck him in, and as with anything else that Jebediah flies, something goes wrong, and this spacecraft, this space plane, should I say, is flipping out of control. It wants to fly backwards, but I've pumped all the fuel forwards anyway. It's really not liking the way I'm doing anything. But Jebediah seizes control of the... he grabs the controls and turns on RCS and just absolutely powers through the air that this space plane is rushing through. And with the power of RCS and a little bit of ingenuity, he gets control. And thankfully, the crew and the science is not lost. Then, of course, we have to bring down the space plane. So Jebediah and, Ed Bull or something? Some unknown space pilot has decided to join him, and they land the spacecraft. And this is the one with the aerospike engines. So just kind of a little test there as well. It seems that these aerospike engines aren't really worth it at the moment. Especially seeing as that was quite back heavy there. Which means that we were quite basically the way that aerodynamics were working around the spacecraft. I think what was happening was because the engines were heavier, Leo tended to want to just fly backwards, which of course is not the best solution to our flying needs. Now, with all that science, we got about 1,000 science or so. We can unlock some of this stuff. So we unlocked the infinite energy, basically. The one that gives us some stupidly overpowered, electricity producer. I can't remember the name of it. My phone buzzed. Would you look at that? Oh, and another phone buzzed. Things are buzzing all over the place. But yeah, you'll probably, while I'm being distracted by my buzzing phones, you're probably watching this and thinking, what on earth is this microscopic spacecraft? And this microscopic spacecraft is a test. It's a test of this new generator. We put it into just a suborbital trajectory, with a periapse of about 50 kilometers, which means that it can get deorbited. But it did the trick. We got it onto the dark side of the planet, and it operated fine. So we know that these things work. We know that they work well. We know that they can power satellites. So what do we need? We need some geostationary satellites. So we're going to pop these out. And I launch a Socrates 1 lifter with a whole bunch of these strapped to the top of it, with excess fuel galore in the upper stage, so we can hop around in space, just deploying all these little satellites. Unfortunately, due to the way the symmetry works, it's not perfectly symmetrical when attaching them, and so there's a wee bit of trouble just keeping it all symmetrical. I deploy these in kind of geostationary orbit and then hop down to a lower orbit before being interrupted by a Kerbin to Moho transfer window that I realize in 4 hours. Now, 4 hours is not a long amount of time, and so in these 4 hours we have to do something spectacular. One of these things is launch up a completely amazing spacecraft that's going to be going to Moho and doing a manned landing on Moho. Because while I was there, I realized that we are really not getting all the science from Moho. We're getting rid of so much of it because we have to transmit it, and then we don't get the rest of it. And there's so much still there to be gained. And the transfer windows are just so often that if we do run out of fuel, we can send another fuel tanker there and it'll get there within like a month or something. It's brilliant. The transfer windows are very often. Anyway, after launching up that upper kind of, the kind of transfer part of the Moho vehicle, the Moho exploration vehicle, we will call it, so the MEV, or something like that. We launch up the lander part of it. So here it is, right here. We're using some fairings and whatnot, and a nuclear engine, and a little cheeky wee bit of part clipping, but not like cheat-wise. It's done through the multi-stage, no, not the multi-stage adapter. It's like a multi-thing adapter that comes with I can't remember the name of it now. The fairings, and then we dock on and transfer the fuel from the upper stage of the Socrates lifter into the orange tank there of the MEV, and then deorbit that with the RCS, and it lands lovely and nicely. The SAS saving us from falling onto our side and destroying it. Next up, we're launching another crew shuttle. Last episode, I asked for a name for this. You guys replied, and there's a name, but I'm not sure. I really am not sure. I'm gonna wait maybe a couple more episodes and see if you guys want to come up with anything else, because I'm not 100% sold on the name that we've got so far. You can go and check out last episode if you want, if you've not already seen it. And see what people have suggested there, so you're not like repeating anything. And then make a suggestion of your own for the name of the crew shuttle, because I'm getting sick of calling it a crew shuttle. If I don't get a name in a couple of episodes, I'll just go with what we've got, or make up one myself. But we'll see. It's not a couple of episodes yet, is it? I don't know what I'm going to do. For all anyone knows, I might go mad, turn into a zombie and kill everyone, or not, but hopefully not. What we do next, while I'm not turning into a zombie, going mad and killing everyone, is we send up what's it called, an ISU, and dock it onto the MEV, and then dock it onto the crew shuttle, and we're basically just transferring fuel and whatnot. And this upper stage gets deorbited, what do you know? And then the ISU and the crew shuttle are, seeing as they're docked together, you can use the RCS, and then they just bring it back to Sphere Station. Sphere Station. I was going to go, not Sphere Station. It's Sea Station, but no, it is. It's Sphere Station, and we dock on the crew shuttle to the rotating habitat, which just happens not to actually be rotating, and so it's really not that useful at the moment. But I'm thinking of adding on a few new crew modules to this station, but right now I've got a bit of lag, so I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. But what we do is we dock on the crew shuttle, we then switch over to the ISU and come in for docking. Now this ISU is not a normal ISU. Normally we have two docking ports, one on either end, and that's how it, docks on. But with this one I decided one side can be a docking port, the other can be a claw. This is going to allow it to, that was going to allow it to dock onto the MEV, because the MEV didn't have any other docking ports on it. So it would allow us to transfer fuel that way. That was just my bad planning there, and so the claw comes in really handy there. But what it also allows us to do, it also allows us to get rid of this thing, which I've been wanting to get rid of from Sphere Station for a while now. It's this little, RCS-less kind of fuel tanker with the claw, but it's the only thing with a claw that I had in space at that time, and so I kept it there just for convenience sake, and it was quite convenient just to have it there. But now that we have this ISU in space with a claw on it, we no longer need that, so we deorbit it along with the two tugs that were really just doing nothing in space. Now they were just sitting there causing lag. We then send out the ISU again after refilling it from Sphere Station, and dock into the MEV and refuel the MEV before hopping back over to Sphere Station to dock on again. And it's a little bit squint, that's gonna bug me, but yeah, just gonna sit there for now. Next up, we finally refueled the whole of the MEV, the Moho exploration vehicle, and we're now going away for a departure burn. Now this burn is going to take, as you can see, 27 minutes, and our node is in about 3 minutes. So as you can guess, we have to do a couple of passes and push our orbit up before finally getting an encounter with Moho, with a little bit of burning, a little bit of quick maneuver node editing, and we finally get our encounter there. But we do have to make a plane change a bit further on, but that'll be in a later episode. So we put down our I think I call it MXS here. I don't know why. Was it Moho Exploration, I don't know, spaceship or something? MEV sounds better, so I think I'm going to change the name to MEV. So yeah, it's up yours, you know, old me. I'm changing the name. How do you like that? But yeah, Jebediah and his lovely friend Edbold, or Ed, but I can't read the names from here, I'm telling you, I'm going blind, are going to be doing that. Now, this here is the dual probe that we launched. So it's just making a quick plane change, and it's going to bring its orbit right the way in to dual. So you can see that here. And that's going to bring us all the way in, and we're going to do an, well, I would say an aero brake. But it's not really even going to be an aero brake. It's just going to be coming into dual's atmosphere and hoping we don't burn to death. Because dual, deadly re-entry, not really gonna be the best of bedfellows, so. But we'll see. That's the whole point of sending this probe, is to get science, is to do science, is to figure these things out, which is gonna be awesome. But that's all for this episode. Next episode we'll probably be doing some more awesome stuff, but we won't be doing as much because this episode was manic. So, that's the end of this episode. I will see you in the next one. Catch you later, folks, and have a great day.